Our news, our business.
You here at nighttime?
You here at the right time.
No, you ain't. You here at the wrong time.
Because it's noon today, ain't it?
Hey, we got a special guest in here for you guys today. The first African American place kicker for the Denver Broncos
And in the AFL.
and in the AFL. So, I know you guys would enjoy this one today, so we brought you a special treat. Not only that, but he's also a veteran, so we're honoring our veterans this week as well.
Yes.
And he is a 4-year vet of the Navy?
3.5.
3.5, okay, so there we go.
So, sir, we salute you for your services.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for everything that you've done for our country. And we really appreciate you letting us come out today and after meeting me for the first time and welcome me back in your home so we can do this interview with you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And I want to say thank you as well, not only from the Mike and Mike at Night show, because we do appreciate this opportunity, but also want to say thank you from the community and all of those who I know will appreciate you being here in this opportunity to hear your story and what you had to deal with in these trying times. We know as black men, we are always under attack in some form or fashion. So we thank you for coming out today, or allowing us to come out today and share your story with us and how you faced and you were under attack so many times, not only in the black community, but also within your professional career.
Yeah. So to give a little bit of introduction, as we also say, he was the first American place kicker in the AFL. And for the Broncos, the Broncos in their inaugural season, he scored the very first touchdown for the Broncos. It was a punt return, and it actually won the game for the Denver Broncos. He is also seated in the Ring of Fame for the Denver Broncos. He not only was a place kicker, but he was a halfback and a punt returner, and he led the league in scoring in his rookie season with 123 points, and then he led in his third year, he led the NFL again in scoring that year also. So this is a very great athlete that we're sitting here today. But again, Mr. Gene Mingo.
We want to get in there and make sure that our people can also hear us.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to be on here and we run this whole one, because I don't want to be coming back over here. And he say, look, I done told y'all that story once before. I don't know if he's like my father, because he don't mind telling stories 30, 40 times. I want to be on here and we run this whole one.
We're good. We're good.
We're good. So just let's jump right into it, because we don't have a whole lot of time here today. So let's get in there
so I want to just kick off the first question, because how you came into the league and the story and the backdrop behind that. You never played college ball and became a walk-on player by the Denver Broncos by simply writing a letter. Can you give us some of the details of that letter and how all that transpired?
The letter was mainly critiqued, or whatever you want to say. By my sister Bertha, who is no longer with us. But I wrote the letter and I took it to her and have her read it, and she read it, and like I said, she straightened it out. Absolutely straightened some of the words I was misspelling. I'm not good at spelling, and my wife can tell you that. But anyway, Bertha did straighten out the letter, and we sent it to the Broncos. I had seen this player in the paper, the Akron Beacon Journal, where he had signed on with the Broncos, and I said, well, hell, if they sign a service person, then why can't I try out for them?
And if I'm correct, he played for the Army, correct?
Navy.
No, I'm saying he played for the Army.
Yeah, he played for the Army. I played for the Navy. And you mentioned earlier about me going to college. No, I didn't go to college. Matter of fact, I dropped out of high school my junior year. My father, I wasn't old enough to join the Navy. My dad had to sign for me to join the Navy, and my Ted Rivers was my cousin. We went into service on buddy deal, and we passed through the Navy, and everything was cool.
Okay. So, I mean, with that, you kind of off the beaten path because we talk about a lot of your first, but I mean, some of the first that I'm looking at is you have to you talk about first, but you might be the only person that not finish high school, not also serve in the service, not go to college, and write a letter. You didn't even put your foot on a practice field. Now we're talking about in a time. We're talking about in a time where there's a lot of racial tension.
Yes.
But yet you were able to write a professional team, and they offer you a contract. And I don't know if there was tape or anything like back in that days. Had they seen anything from you?
To be honest about it, Dean Griffin had seen me play ball in Washington D.C. I think it was. Dean Griffin had seen me play service ball, so he knew that I was a running back, and he said, "Let's give this man a chance." And he sent me a contract for $6,500, and I was so happy to get it. Back in the 60s, you know, I signed that contract and got it back.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I could just write a letter, it's 2020, and if I get $6,500 back off a letter that my sister edited, I'd be okay. I'd be okay in 2020. And what year was this again?
It was in '59.
Okay, so hey, you was a bad man at a very early age. I mean, to be able to accomplish those things, what gave you the fervor, whatever, the drive that you needed to keep going in that?
My cousin Dean he was smarter than me. He was prettier than me.
Okay.
Also tougher than me, and Dean went and played for the Junior Bantams, West Hornets, and he asked me to join the team, and I told him, no, man, I didn't want to do that. And so, you know, he finally talked me into trying out for the team, and I went out there and I tried out for the team. He told the manager that I wanted to join the team, and he said, yeah, go out there and, you know, introduce him to the other players, and if they say it's okay, let's get him get him fitted with the uniform. And the second week of practice, we had a scrimmage, and I tasted my own blood. I said, no, let me get out of here. That, you know, I didn't like the taste of my own blood, so I quit the team. And within a week after that, there was an accident where my cousin was killed by a boxer dog. The boxer dog was brought up from the South, and Mr. Calhoun, who lived over, you know, we had a fence that you could jump over. It wasn't that high. Well, my cousin Dean had played with this boxer dog all day and everything, and I thought, well, Dean thought that the dog knew him, and Honey called for Dean to come over and have dinner, come home and have dinner. So Dean, he did. He went home, he had dinner, and he told his mother, he said, I'm going back over to Mr. Calhoun's. And so he ran over there, ran up the back stairs into the house. And the young boy that came up from the South, he didn't know if the dog was going to attack Dean or not. But anyway, this dog did attack Dean. The boy said, sick him, and the dog listened to him and jumped Dean and tore his veins away from his arm. And this was in 1959. The jets were coming into being and everything, and they sent for this specialist from New York, and they had Dean at Children's Hospital, and they never put a tourniquet on Dean's arm, and Dean bled to death while in the hospital. Well, we had moved over across here come the niggers, they crossed the tracks, and well, we moved about 3 blocks into the white neighborhood. There was Jews, Italians, Japanese. I mean, it was very, very mixed as far as relations go. We had we had the best house on the block. Daddy made sure that the yard was cut, the car was clean.
And he was working for Firestone.
And he was working for Firestone. Matter of fact, Mr. Firestone made sure that my father got paid, and when my dad was sick, Dad would go to work with a temperature or be sweating on the assembly line. Mr. Firestone would come down because Dad would not leave. Dad said, I'm not going to leave no job. He says, if you don't work, you don't get paid. So I'm gonna stay
so
here.
This is probably where you developed a lot of your work ethic.
Yeah, well, the Dean, I give my football to Dean.
Okay.
After the accident, and to tell you what happened, we had moved across the block, like I said, about 3 blocks into the neighborhood. And so me and my mother went to the house. Dean had moved in to the house I was born in. And back in those days, the funeral home would bring the body for you to view for 2 or 3 days or whatnot. So we're going over, me and my mother, we're going over to view Dean's body. And at the corner of Berry and Rhodes, I decided I wanted to run. I'm going to take off running. I'm going to beat my mother to the house. So I run up and go into the side door. And when I went into the side door, my Aunt Honey, Dean's mother, was up at the top of the stairs, and she had one of those old hankies in her hand, frilled or whatever you call it. And I could hear her say, Lord, who's going to be my baby? Who's going to be my baby now? And I reached up and I grabbed Aunt Honey's hand. And I looked up at her, and she looked down at me, and I said, Aunt Honey, I'll be your baby. And I never have felt that way, even playing football. I've never been hurt that much, that hard, so soon, that, quick. Mm-hmm. She said, no, you can't be my baby. Say, you're a quitter. And I told you, I tasted my blood when we scrimmaged, and I did quit the junior bantams. And I made up my mind right then and there. I wasn't going to be a quitter anymore.
Amen.
So I went back and I joined the junior bantams, the Hornets football team. Mm-hmm. And I wore jeans number 13 Hornets uniform.
Nice.
And I became, tough, if you want to call it that. I didn't take no stuff off of nobody. You had to prove to me that you were better than me, that you were tougher than me, whatnot. So Gordon Larson was the high school coach over there, and I would go watch him, the baseball team practice, and every now and then I'd get to see South High School football team practice, and I would holler at him and I would tell him, I'm going to make your team one of these days. And Gordon Larson seen me walk down the hall when I went back to school. I sort of jumped around on you guys. My mother took sick, and there's a lot that people don't know about me, but I didn't like going to school. And
but you did like the sloppy joes, right?
Yeah, I did like the sloppy joes. Those sloppy joes at school were good. They didn't cost that much either, 15 cents or whatever.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, sloppy joes. Anyway, my dad came home, and I had been punished so many times. I got so many spankings for missing school and stuff. And he said, Eugene, he says, since you don't like going to school, he said, why don't you stay home so your sister and brother can graduate, and then we'll see what's, you do after that. So that was right down my alley. I had to take care of my mother, and I became an alcohol and drug counselor after I finished my football career.
Now, if you can just remind us again the teams that you played for.
I started my career with Denver in 1960. I went to the Oakland Raiders in 64. I went down to the Miami Dolphins in 1966. In 67, halfway through the program, we had played New England up in Boston, and I can't remember the owner's name of the Miami Dolphins. Joe Robbie. Robbie was his name. He came down on the field, and our team was worse than the Denver Broncos right now as far as injuries go, and we didn't have that many players on the team at that time. And he came down on the field, and all those New England fans were they were laughing and just hee-hawing about what Mr. Robbie was saying. You're not playing, you don't care. He used some pretty good words. And
so you actually were there on the field with Joe Robbie?
We were on the field at the time. Okay. This man came down there, and we were going to have, that was our bye week. The next weekend it was our bye week, and we had a golf tournament, and Jackie Gleason was, the golf course was where Jackie Gleason had his home.
From the honeymooners.
From the honeymooners.
So you actually met Jackie Gleason.
I met Jackie Gleason, and also met Danny Thomas, who had part ownership of the Miami Dolphins.
Now to get just to get off a little back on the subject with the football, you were the first black place kicker in the AFL. You went in as a halfback, but you became a place kicker. Can you tell us how that transpired and how you ended up being the place kicker?
I ended up being the place kicker in Golden. We were practicing up on the top hill, and what was his name? Anyway, the coach had the punters and field goal kickers down on the lower field, and he was he was trying to find out who could kick and whatever. Well, we had a guy that I was in service with that knew I could kick some, and his name was Bill Miller. And he said, Mingo can kick. He just hollered out, Mingo can kick. And I jumped behind him and tried to hide. And one of my teammates said, man, he said, you better go on out there. The more you can do, the better chance you have of making the team. And
the different positions.
Yeah. The different positions. Okay. And being that I had done some kicking in service, I went down to where the coach was training the guys and everything. And so he said, can you kick? And I said, yeah, I can kick a little bit. I still sort of perked up. And like the guy said, the more you can do, the better chance you have of making the team. So he said, well, come on here. So they set the ball up at the extra point line. I kicked the ball, and it went through. It was nice. I felt pretty good. Well, the next ball I kicked, he moved it back, and I sort of sliced it. It was like a golfer. I stepped up to kick it, and the ball went off to the right. He said, "Oh, get out of here!" And I said, I started to walk away, and something happened.
Honey, and you came back, and you was like, I ain't gonna be no quitter.
Yeah, that's it. It was that something. Something said, ask for another chance.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for another chance. And you're right about being a quitter. It says you're no quitter. Ask for another chance. And I said to the coach, I said, can I have another chance? He said, no, get out of here. I said, no, give me another chance. And he said, okay. And so he moved the ball back, and they told me when I kicked the ball, instead of it taking off and going for the goal post, it would go up, find out where it was going, and then take off for the goal post. Yeah. And it would, I'd split down the middle, and he said, I remember we didn't have that many coaches on the team. We had at least our head coach, and we had an offensive line coach and a defensive line coach. And we had 4 coaches on our team at that time. And anyway, I kicked the ball through, and he told Fred Posey, who was our equipment man and trainer, he said, get him a kicking shoe. Let's see what he can do with the kicking shoe.
Now, did you kick the other one barefoot, or was it just with the regular?
With the regular football shoe. There was a round toe.
Okay.
And, you know, like I said, they went through it, and the coach said, you know, told Posey to get him a kicking shoe, and let's see what he can do then.
And you had beat out, so then you had beat out the other kickers that were.
Well, when I got the shoe, it was automatic. The kicks and stuff that I did, it was automatic. I knew where I wanted the ball to go, so I'd kick it there. That was it.
Now, was there a fraternity? Did you know any other famous kickers? Were you able to meet any other kickers while you were actively kicking in the league?
No. The guy that I admired was with the Boston Patriots, Gino Capoletti.
Okay.
I think he was the kicker. It was, and then they had the Gogolak brothers. When they brought in the Gogolak brothers, they started out with the New York Jets, and you didn't see very many soccer-style kickers in the early years of the American Football League, and that's what happened. They started going with the soccer style kickers, and so that meant that guys like me, even though I was black, none of the it's not a shame to say none of the kickers could outkick me. When they would kick a 50-yarder, I'd kick a 55-yarder. They kick a 56-yarder, I'd kick a 58-yarder. Whatever they would do, I would outdo them. And
so that's that same stuff that was built up in you from your young age, not quitting and just going out and carrying on that memory of Dean and moving forward with everything that you did. You mentioned the first time that we talked, you felt that you were forgotten and that you don't get enough recognition for your accomplishments in the NFL. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, you talk about the NFL and you look at, I remember the second year with the Denver Broncos, they must have brought in anywhere from 9 to 11 kickers to take my job because, even today, you don't see another black kicking field goals or even kicking off. And to me, that was simple and easy to do, to kick that ball because, the young player, the quarterback with the Philadelphia Eagles, they got on him for having trained dogs and stuff. Well, who did he get it from? He learned that from the white man. The white man was the one that used to chase the black. He used to make his money because the blacks would be running from the dogs and stuff like that. I'm serious. That was it. The white man would have his dogs chased down his boys. But anyway, I became the first kicker in the NFL, and like I said, every team I played on, I only played a year and a half on each team that I played on other than the Broncos. I played 5 years with the Denver Broncos. And
so your longest tenure was with the Broncos?
My longest tenure was with the Broncos, and even today you don't see any blacks kicking field goals or kicking off or doing anything. That's one position that the white owners or whatnot. I was at the town club with my wife, and the owner of Lamar Hunt came in to the
owner of the Chiefs.
The owner of the Chiefs, who has since passed away. He came in to the town club, and I told my wife, I said, Sally, there's Lamar Hunt. My God, I bet that man won't even know me. And I said, I'm going to go up and say hello to him. Well, he and his entourage was looking out the window because they were going to redo Arrowhead Stadium. And he wanted to see how we did the Champions Club. And so I was going to reach, I started to reach for his shoulder, and as he looked out on the field, and he started to turn, he looked me in my face, and before I could say anything, he said, my God, Gene Mingo. Oh. And I hadn't seen Lamar Hunt, oh man, I forgot what year that was, but I hadn't seen that man in 20 or 30, 40 years.
Wow.
And he still remembered me. He said, my God, Gene Mingo. He said, boys, come over here. I want to introduce you to somebody. He said, I want to tell you something. This man helped save the American Football League. Now, that to me, yes, the Broncos in 2014 inducted me into the Ring of Fame. Mm-hmm. But what kept me from going in sooner was in 1964, I believe, when I was caught in the hotel room with these two white girls. And we were having dinner at my wife's, at that time I had just gotten married. About 5 or 6 months before that, had no intentions of fooling around, and they took me back to the hotel along with Willie West, and well, to make a long story short, not Dean Griffin, but Cal Kuntz was the general manager, and they sent Red Miller around because the guys that seen me pull into the hotel saw the white girls and called in to
so that was basically, you're in the early 1960s, and that was like forbidden, and you did something forbidden where it was seen out in public, and then just another plight that we had, and they kind of held that against you. And you're in the Bronco Ring of Fame, but you also mentioned to me that you felt like you've been passed by with the Hall of Fame. And you feel like you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. So can you, if you were to talk to those people who make the selection for the Hall of Fame, what would give us your cases to why you would be in the should be in the Hall of Fame?
I think we already talked about them.
I looked back at for one thing, the longest touchdown run from scrimmage is a halfback. As a defense, I played 7 positions for the Broncos. The Broncos never talk about that.
Yeah.
They never say how many positions. I'm the only the field goal. I used to kick off and recover my own onside kicks with the Denver Broncos.
Wow.
I did that once with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow.
Punt returns, I did. Kickoffs, I did. I played defensive back. I played like I said, 7 positions. I intercepted with the Miami Dolphins. Was Joe Namath. I don't know. I don't remember if he was a quarterback or not, but I intercepted passes. I did so many damn things with the American Football League. I just look at it this way: leading the league, being the first black, out kicking every kicker that I came up against. They could not kick me.
Scoring records, your rookie year.
Scoring records, yeah.
Scoring records.
Leading scorer, your rookie year, and in your third year again, and just a lot of accomplishments.
Well, to say why I feel that I should be in the Hall of Fame is you look at it, leading the league in scoring in 1960. They didn't even want me on the team, but like I said, kicking better than everybody I went up against. What could they do? You know, they wanted to have a team, and I drew so many people into the stadium. I go to places now, and we even take cruises, and people still remember me.
What is your relationship with the Broncos now? I mean, is there a relationship there, or has it been strained because of that decision?
I look at the Broncos this way. I'm willing to help them any way that I can. I had a drug problem after spending 5.5, maybe 6 games with the Washington Redskins. This was in 1967. I kicked off, and we were playing against the Philadelphia Eagles, and Timmy Brown was the halfback. He had caught the kickoff, and he had broke through our line of defense, and I was the last guy on there to make the tackle, and Chris Hamburg was chasing him down, and so I sort of, I hit Timmy pretty good. Well, when I hit him, he also split my head wide open in a sense. It didn't split open, but it felt like it. It felt like somebody had hit me with an axe. And I went down, but something told me to get right up. And I jumped up, went to the sideline. I played the whole game. I coached the whole. Sonny Jorgensen, Charlie Taylor, all these guys was coming to me, asking me, what should we do? What can I do? I was telling Charlie what to do. Brig Owens was a defensive back, and I was telling him how to cover.
Not only were you an Iron Man, not only did you break through grounds as the first black man, but you also coached and you also mentored several other people that were in the NFL in several different positions.
And didn't know it.
And then and then I think it's huge because you mentioned your drug addiction, but you turned that around and you became a drug counselor, and you did that for how many years did you do that?
11
years.
11
so
years.
Again, you had an obstacle that you had to overcome. And it's a story of your life that you continue to just overcome these obstacles, and you turned it into something bad. You turned it into something good, and you went and helped others. And I think all that adds up to being a Hall of Famer, and the Broncos continuing to honor somebody who did so much for them in his career.
And they still haven't reached out to you or talked to you about
the Broncos are. Gene Mingo did his stuff back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. Right now, they all they look at is what can you do for me now. I tell the players, you better get it while you can, because you like a piece of meat. You go to the grocery store, you see a piece of meat that you like, and you buy it, and it's tender and it's good, and you enjoy the heck out of it. I said, you go back to that same store, and you buy a piece of meat, you think it's the same meat that you get, and it's tough or it's not good anymore. So that's what the Broncos are doing with these players.
Well, I've always had some apprehension when it comes to the relationship that the Broncos organization as a whole has for African Americans. All the years that they were losing Super Bowls, and it just so happens that we have one Terrell Davis that comes into town and manages to bag that Super Bowl for him and kind of puts him on a different, gets him on a different, and then it's John Elway that gets all of the, even after he's lost so many, he gets all the accolades, and it's not really Terrell Davis.
Mm-hmm.
He gets put in the front office, John, and then Terrell Davis is selling barbecue sauce or something.
They don't even advertise about the blacks that have done so good for them, whatnot. Players coming to town. I gave Terrell Davis, Budweiser, they had the player of the week, and he won it 2 weeks in a row. I was working as a alcohol and drug counselor, and they called, Lee called, and the secretary called me in my office and said, Gene, anyway, I said, yeah. So I went to the boss of the facility I was working at, and I asked him, can I leave early to go over and present Terrell Davis with the football? And they was going to give me $1,000 to do that. And so when I got over,
that wasn't going to break him, was it?
It wasn't going to break him. But I went over, and Terrell, I met I forget, he was a redhead kid that was, he is Sacramento's second in command. And anyway, he took me out on the field, and so I'm walking around, and people, they're walking all around. Nobody's coming up to me. They don't know who I am. They don't know no Gene Mingo. And so I saw Terrell. Practice was about over. So I went up to Terrell, and I said, I had the football in my. I said, Terrell, would you please beat one of my records? And he said, records? He said, yeah, who are you? I said, I'm Gene Mingo. Gene Mingo? I said, yeah. I said, I have the longest touchdown run from scrimmage. I said, man, would you beat that record? Would you beat, He looked at me, he said, who are you? I said, I led the league in scoring in 60 and 62. And he asked me again, he said, who you say you were? And I said, I'm Gene Mingo. I said, I was the first black field goal kicker in the NFL. And, he was good. I admit that he was a damn tough running back, and he deserved where he's at today. But yet and still, they don't talk about, they don't share anything about past players that did anything for the Broncos. It's all John Elway, or one other is he went to Syracuse.
Steve Sewell?
No, for number 44.
Carl Nicklin?
No, Floyd Little. I'm sorry. How can you forget that name?
It's all pro move.
Yeah.
But yeah, all pro. Well, Floyd, but they act like I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have to beg. Why am I going to the stadium to sign autographs a half hour before, an hour before the game? And I look at other players, and they tell me, oh, we don't have to, sign no autographs to go to the game. We just invited.
Yeah.
So are there other organizations that don't run like that?
Oh.
If you had to say the best organization as far as how they deal with African Americans in their past,
Kansas City.
You would say Kansas City?
Kansas City.
Okay. As far as the teams you played for, who would you say?
Kansas City, Pittsburgh Steelers. What was his name?
The Rudy Rule, right?
Rudy, Mr. Rudy was, he cared about the players. He could make his money, but he cared about the players. And that's one thing I can say.
Okay.
Well, I'm just going to speak on your behalf to the Denver Broncos at this time. Denver Broncos, you have to remember where you got your start from. And it looks like you got Eugene, Mr. Mingo, kicked off a great start for you. And honor this man with season tickets that he can go to. Give him a suite. Let him go into the suite. Let him watch the games without having to sign autographs.
82 years, September 22nd, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a blessing.
Yeah.
You guys have had him this year, this long, and this is the type of love that you show him.
Yeah, and in Mike and Mike show, we're all about love, support, and protect.
That's what we do.
So we reach out to the Broncos and we ask them love, support, and to protect this man and take him under and give him. He deserves that honor from you guys and give it to him every step of the way without anything being attached to it.
Correct.
And just honor him just because of what he did for your organization in the early years that propelled you to what you are right now today.
Correct. I agree, and I just want to piggyback on that as well. In a time right now when we're having the type of social climate that we're having, we need to recognize those black athletes, especially ones that paved the way for the guys now who are making millions and millions of dollars, to the ones that were from the ones who were signing those $6,500 contracts to get them to where they are now. But we want to thank you again, Mr. Mingo, for coming on the show today, for allowing us to come in. We appreciate you for that, and we thank you. And this ain't the only place you're going to see this. This is going to be, we're going to shop this a little bit to see what else we can do to get you the respect that you deserve.